Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another review video here on the channel. Today we are doing something that I'm calling something along the lines of rapid fire reviewing. That's not really the right word for it. I'll figure it out at some point and let you know what I'm going to call it. But basically, this is an attempt to get better at reviewing the new releases that come through my letterbox. I talked a little bit about this in my hiatus video, which may or may not be up by this point. If not, it'll be out on the next Thursday. And yeah, basically I would like to get a little bit better at filming some book reviews for this channel, because other than Overbooked, I have fallen a little by the wayside, and that's largely because nobody clicks on them. But look at you. You clicked on this one, you want to hear about a magic steeped in poison, and I want to tell you about it. So I'm endeavouring to read a new release and then film a review video for it within 24 hours. I finished this last night. It is currently the 4th of September. I finished it in the evening of the 3rd, and I am ready to tell you about it now. Have I planned for this? No, we're going off vibes alone. That's not entirely true. I did watch a very good interview with the author and Joan He, which will be in the description because it was very, very interesting, and I would recommend watching it. But yes, other than that, no thoughts, head empty, let's talk about it. I'm going to insert some quick disclaimers before we start. I did get sent a copy of this book for free from Titan Books. Thank you so much to Titan. Lovely to work with you. They're not paying me to talk about books, and all opinions are my own. I will also link the story graph for this book down below in case you want to check out any content warnings, and this review will be spoiler free. If you do want to go in knowing absolutely nothing, click away now. I'm also going to be talking about the kind of YA element of this all, and I just want to acknowledge that I'm in my mid to late 20s, and I am not necessarily the target audience for this. I'm talking about this from the perspective of someone who really does enjoy YA, or has done in the past, and is trying to figure out my own relationship with it, and also who just loves fantasy books, and some of the best fantasy books are YA. Magic Steeped in Poison has been out in the US since I think March, but we've only just got it in the UK if you're watching this. It should be out around about the 6th of September, as should this video. Not 100% sure if that's going to be right. And it is a YA fantasy novel, tea-based magic, which we have seen in a couple of little places before, but I've not seen it in quite such a dedicated way as this book does. I do think there are a couple of other things out recently that are vaguely tea-related that Editing Judith's going to put up some covers for, but this is the one that really caught my eye at the start of the year. I've been vaguely interested in reading this for a long time, and I was interested in it because I've kind of been on the ins and outs with YA fantasy lately. As you will know if you've been watching the channel for a while, I've cleared a lot of the YA off my shelves because it's just not something I'm interested in. So I went into this with a little bit of trepidation, shall we say. Was it going to be too YA for me? Had I had a long enough break that if that was the case it wouldn't matter? Let's find out together while I tell you about it. Judy Eileen grew up in Taiwan and now lives in Canada, and I'm listening to this interview. A lot of the inspiration for this book are Chinese. There's a lot of C-drama inspiration in there. Not something I've watched a lot of, I'll confess, but I feel like it would be a rabbit hole I could jump into quite easily. I think I could get very into it, and it's possibly good for my productivity that I have not. But yeah, there's a lot of inspiration of that in here. Obviously a lot of tea inspiration and so such. So yes, in this book we have Ning, who is growing up in quite a rural part of the, I'm going to say empire? Yes, that is right. There's an emperor, so it's an empire. And her mother dies tragically as a result of a poisoned tea brick. Her mother was a Shenong Shu. I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'm trying my best. Please be kind to me. Which is sort of like a expert in tea come magician. There's like the tea magic practitioners, and Ning was studying under her. Mother dies from poison tea poured by Ning. Very terrible. Now, at the start of the book, her sister has also fallen ill to poison, and Ning says, right, to deal with this, I'm going to go to the palace to do a contest to become like the emperor's Shenongshu, which means competing in a whole bunch of challenges that are related to your tea-based magic. There are nasty competitors, there are nice competitors. It's a contest book. This is my favourite kind of YA fantasy. But arriving to do the contest, obviously there is court intrigue. The emperor won't come out to see anyone, which is very suspicious. And how do they describe it? A mysterious and handsome boy with a shocking secret. And yes, there's a lot of your life may be in danger. Uncover the secrets, and also please try and win this competition to save your sister. Good stuff. I think probably the most important thing to talk about here is the tea magic. I think it's the biggest selling point of the book, certainly for me anyway. I really liked it. I thought it was very well done. One of the reasons I liked it more than I've liked other YA magic of similar ilk, like we've done fragrance-based magic, we've done, I can't think of another one at this exact moment in time, but I'm sure there are others, is that often it'll start out very strong and then peter out as it goes. Like you just lose some of that magic, and at the end you're like, well, that was just the first chapter and now I'm just reading a generic book. This really felt like it had the tea magic, and specifically around like finding the right ingredients and the relevance of those ingredients and such throughout. I was really impressed by that, and I think that's a good sign of a book that didn't just do it to be a gimmick. It was very much integral to the story. I think also the other thing you get is the sense of how important both magical tea and just regular tea is to this culture and these people, and why the existence of this poison tea has been so damaging to sort of the foundations of everything. I think it's a very cool magic system. I liked the kind of grounding in reality of these ingredients that we know, and then pushing out into a magical aspect of that, and the way the magic works is very cool. I won't get into it all because I think it's something you need to experience for yourself, but if you're like me and you enjoy a magic system, I think this is a very cool one, and it has that kind of almost potion brewing kind of style to it that I very much enjoyed. And yeah, mostly just very impressed that it didn't completely go away by the end of the book. Oh, we're being greeted by a girl. Hello! Have you had a nice walk? You are looking very stubby today. Okay, squeaky toy time. There is a romance in this book. It's not subtle, it's not as aggressive is the wrong word. It's not as focal as it would be in other YA books of a similar structure. I think it will be more apparent in the next book because he's on the main front cover, so that makes sense. I will say I didn't mind it. I don't have strong feelings about it. I don't have, how annoying, which is often a problem I have with YA fantasy. I thought it was perfectly nice, and I liked that the way that this has been structured as a duology, it really felt like it's going to have time to build in book 2. I don't know that that's the case. I've not read book 2, but it felt good. It felt nice. And more importantly, I think actually the female friendships in this book are really, really well written and really powerful. I liked that in the context of a competition, it wasn't a bunch of infighting between women, and I think that having listened to this interview, I think a lot of that was because Judy Eileen was sort of trying to write against the trope of arguing concubines in C-dramas and wanted to do something that was much more sportive. So there were a lot of women who really like other women and just want them to do well, and I appreciated that, and I think it's really interesting, particularly Nin's friendship with another competitor, Liane. Just really beautiful. Loved it. Would like to see it explored more in book 2, and I think that's something that I'd actually realised I was missing from other YA books of this kind, is where are the friendships? Because actually that's more important than the floppy-haired boy, you know? In terms of plot and intrigue and the competition, do I want to do those separately? Let's talk about the competition, because again, this did a thing that I like, where it didn't just say, there are going to be trials, but some of them will happen off-page. No, I don't appreciate that. I don't go around with that. I want all the trials to be on page, and I want to know what the trials are, and I want to experience the problem solving of the trial, and this definitely hit home for that. I liked the way that we explored different people's approaches to trials. The actual trials themselves are really, really good. It's not just like, fight this man. There's intrigue and interestingness to it, and it all applies to the Shannon-shu role. I definitely think it's well worth reading if you like a competition book. And in terms of the other side of the plot, there's court intrigue, mystery. Don't want to get into it too much because I might spoil it for you. That's very good as well, and I like how it plays alongside the contest. So it's not that one subsumes the other, they are very much run parallel. And I think that it'll be interesting to see whether the next book, which obviously won't have a contest in it, will manage to keep that balance of interest and that pacing up, which is one of the things that a contest setting really does, is it keeps everything moving because you've always got to be preparing for the next trial. We'll see. But again, it's a duology, so I feel like we're not going to have the middle book problem that other things have. And I have faith. If this book can be as good as it is, probably the next book can as well. I hope. To answer my own question, did I phrase it as a question? I can't remember. Was this too YA for me? I think it's probably, the answer is twofold. One is that this actually deals with a lot of problems I have with YA books of this kind, in that it manages to do a competition well, the romance doesn't take over everything, there are female friendships, the pacing is good. I liked all of those elements, it did it really well, and I think the other side of it is that I haven't read a YA book in quite some time, certainly not one that's of this kind. I've read some YA, but not a huge amount, so I am not as burned out on it as I perhaps once was. So, depending on your personal preference for YA at the moment, I think this is one of the good ones. So would I recommend you read this? I actually really would. I think depends on your preference for YA, as I say, but I definitely think it is worth picking up and giving it a go, especially because I have faith that because this is a duology, it's just going to be really tight. And it has the wonderful thing of, even if book 2 doesn't match up to this, if book 2 isn't as good, we still know that book 1 is very good and rounds off pretty neatly. It's a bit of an ending of, well, what will happen next? But I think I could put this down and not be awake at night wondering what happens to these characters. That's not a spoiler for the ending, that's just a fact. However, I will definitely be reading the sequel when it comes out. I'm excited for it, and this is just beautiful. Like, it's just stunning. I'm excited to have this on my shelves. It's gonna have to go off camera in the pink books section that is rapidly growing, to be honest. Wasn't expecting it. And in case anyone was wondering, my current favourite tea is a black tea that is called Bonfire Toffee, and it is amazing. It's some of the nicest tea I've ever had, and I will be drinking it immediately after this video. Have you read this? Do you have plans to? If you're in the US and it's been out for months and months, what are your thoughts on it? Are you excited for the sequel, which I assume you're also getting sooner than we are? Let me know all of those things down in the comments below. Also, let me know what your favourite YA or otherwise magic system has been that has like a connection, like tea magic, fragrance magic. What's the one that really hits home for you? While you're down there commenting, please do subscribe if you haven't already. It makes me feel loved and appreciated, though nothing makes me feel more loved and appreciated than my patrons over on Patreon who support the channel and get early access to videos and bonus content. If you would like to join their number, that's linked in the description below, as is my Discord and my Twitter if you want to come have chill chats about books. Thank you so much for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one. I've just realised I didn't put this down the whole time. I could have... Never mind. It's gonna be some bloopers now. Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith, and you're watching another review. I think it'll be more